there are going to be casualties. Kids are going to get hurt. Kids are going to die. It's not what the government is supposed to be doing. Hi, this is Dr. Alan Lifton from Brainsplain. First of all, I have to apologize about the pencil cactus, but don't worry, she's going to do fine and she'll grow. At home, I have insane pencil cactuses. They do fantastic. Here in Florida, where I live, where we don't have vaccines for kids. Okay, I mean, it's a very difficult situation to try to defend scientific integrity and scientific knowledge when we're not going to be using critical thinking. The science of gravity is fairly well established. We know for a fact that if you jump off a building and the building is, let's say, 42 stories tall, you are unlikely to survive. This is because of gravity. And we have some ability to explain gravity. And our ability to explain gravity is not quite as solid and not quite as good as our ability to explain vaccination, which is easier science. Now, people are not currently choosing to not believe in gravity, but the stupidity level of not believing in gravity and not believing in vaccines is identical. It's the same science. You need to have some very serious willful ignorance, and you need to be refusing to listen. And the fact that that has escalated now into a political movement and into a position where people in government and in power who are making public health decisions are utilizing those thought processes, those emotional thought processes rather than rational thinking is disconcerting. And there are going to be casualties. Kids are going to get hurt. Kids are going to die. It's not what the government is supposed to be doing. Government officials are telling people what they want to hear when they have to be telling people what they don't want to hear because, inconvenient facts occur. For some time, some of the academic social thinkers, I'm not a social scientist obviously, but some of those people have been talking about post-truth reality where we no longer have the capacity for valid group thinking. A section of our population is rejecting reality. And this isn't actually a debate about parental rights. Parents have the right to refuse vaccination. What they don't have the right to do is refuse vaccination and participate in public schools. That's the right that's been taken away from them. They've always had the right not to vaccinate. That never changed. You were never required to vaccinate a child. You always had the right to refuse vaccinations. You just couldn't have your unvaccinated children in the pool with the other people in public. You had to homeschool them. So if you didn't want to vaccinate, that was fine because we allow religious freedom to an extent, although I will say that we limit even religious freedom. Okay, so religious freedom is not absolute. For example, if you are an under 18-year-old Jehovah's Witness dying and in need of a blood transfusion against your parents' wishes, you can be given a blood transfusion to save your life. And that's gone all the way to the Supreme Court. It's a fascinating medical legal thing. As an adult, once you turn 18, if you're a Jehovah's Witness and you want to die because you don't want to go to hell and you don't want to have a blood transfusion, a life-saving treatment, because the state does not believe that prayer is going to fix hemorrhage, you can refuse. You can die. You can die for your religion. But if you're a minor, you cannot. If you're a minor, then the physicians can file for an emergency petition for guardianship and they can overrule the parental wishes for the child to not get a transfusion. It's a limitation. It's a very, very small limitation, but it's a limitation on religious freedom. You can have religious freedom up to a point, but not to the point where you kill your kids, is basically what the state is saying. But the state is not saying you cannot have, has never said that you cannot have enough religious freedom to kill your kids from lack of vaccination. You've always been free to do that. They've just said, yeah, but not infect the rest of the community or not participate in a public setting. We need to isolate those people because of infectious diseases and how infectious diseases are transmitted. Now they're conflating public health with parental rights, but public health is public health, and the parental rights were never limited. We never said you must do this if you're a parent. We said you must do this if you want your child in public. Different statements, completely different statements. And they've obscured that. But the real thing, the real underlying issue is that the people involved don't want to accept the realities of vaccination science. And this is solid stuff. You know, saying that vaccines don't work or saying that the vaccines are in some way associated with autism or these other illnesses are factually incorrect, proven by math. Multiple times proven by math. Like, oh, well, we don't accept that math. That was faulty. We don't have to listen to that. Stunning development in our culture right now. Not anything I can do because it's inconvenient for me to leave Florida right now. Although, when the announcement was made and when I saw whatever his name is that I can't even remember and which I shouldn't even repeat, who's supposedly the so-called Secretary of Health for the state of Florida, who claims to be a doctor, talk, I went on the AN's Career Center to look for jobs because I was depressed. Anyway, I don't know. I hope that's brain spleen.